How's everybody doing today? Thanks for joining us again, man. It's the Lincoln Real Estate Group, Denver market area post-coronavirus market recovery update. Now, how's that for a title? Yeah, so, don't touch that dial. We've got some great things coming up for you today in the show. We're going to take a look at the numbers, show you how the market's recovering, what's going on. If you're thinking about buying or selling, some things you really should be thinking about. And if you're watching live and you're watching from, if you're not watching from Lincoln Real Estate Group livecast page and you put a comment there, we are going to try to monitor them and get to them. But if you really want to be sure that we see your comment live, join us on the Lincoln Real Estate livecasts page that you can link to from any of the posts that you're on. So with that, I don't have a whole lot more to say other than we got a great show for you. And so let's introduce our panel here. We've got Jen Erzinger in the top left, our Top Gun leader and leader of the Masked Dozen, and our trusted broker owner of Lincoln Real Estate Group. Our special and always on top of things financing expert, Pamela Wandry from Colomine Mortgage. And then
Hello.
Down here on the bottom, Jen's A-Team and Sanitation Squad and Schabacher, and of course me, Tony, reporting to you virus-free with normal temperatures this morning. So how's everybody doing? How was that? You couldn't tell I had a script, could you? Yeah. Bumbling on. Yeah, so a lot of interesting things kind of going on. Man, we don't have a whole lot of doom and gloom to talk about, which is good news. But I did want to bring up that one of the things that's driving the activity we're seeing in the market, which we'll go to in a second, is this thing that Doctor, interest rates are still low. And that has a big part of it. Dr. Yoon said, we should be expecting to see, mortgage interest rates at or near 3% for an extended time. And so we'll be talking more about that. But what say you, Pam?
Yes. A lot of that is driven by, two factors, really. COVID still has a lot of uncertainty going on in the rates. So that's keeping rates low. And then, of course, the Fed is doing what they can to help stabilize. So buying those mortgage-backed securities. And so, yes, rates are predicted to be low through 2020, obviously, and into 2021. So
yeah,
no, it's going to be good for a while, rates-wise.
Well, and that's awesome, because I think you, Jen, and Ann, you guys are seeing. You've been out there a lot in the heat on the front line. What are your comments on what the market's doing generally? Because we'll get into the numbers in a second, but what is it? What is it? Is it like a calm sea of tranquility out there?
No, Jen had a very good word for it.
Which one? I've used several adjectives. Insanity?
Insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's definitely far outpacing anything I thought we would be doing at this point.
Yeah, no, same here. And when they were talking about a slow rolling start, I don't know what their definition of slow was, but we'll look at the numbers, but it's just crazy. Multiple offers, craziness going on. We'll talk into that, but yeah, what I like the best about it is when it's 98, 100 degrees, and I got my mask and my gloves and my booties and my bottle of Steramine on. How many showings can you do a day?
Not
2.
many.
So, yeah.
It definitely is taking longer. It's a very interesting. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting quicker at the gloves, though, I gotta say.
The gloves and getting all the disclaimers, everything signed in advance. So, but okay. So people joining us here. Let's see. Thank you for joining. Let's see if we should probably get into the weekend update from Jen. Let's see. Hold on a second here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So Jen, let's see what happened last weekend, huh?
Oh my gosh, crazy weekend. So we consider our weekends Thursday through Monday. At least that's what we've proclaimed them to be. We only had 740 units come on, and we had 1,078 go off, and we closed 675. So
Yeah.
very busy weekend. I was both on the buy and the list side this weekend submitting offers. I lost on the buy, and we had a big weekend on our listings.
Yeah.
So you guys got to come ready to bid and bid big.
Yes, if you're buying, man, you got to be throwing down on the table. Otherwise, you're just like, spinning your wheels. Yeah, and that's good to see, because normally, kind of we're getting towards the end of June, July, prior to coronavirus, we'd see a little bit of a level off on the market, kind of slows down from the insanity in the spring, but I think we're still seeing it. If we go take a look at my famous Excel spreadsheet. Oh no, that's Jen's stats. Let's look at
that
the
inventory though is still very low.
It is extremely low.
Say the total inventory is only at 5346. That's attached and detached, you guys. That's condo and single family. That's nothing. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, with the inventory turning at 1,600 a week or thereabouts, with only 5,600 on the market, you got basically a third of your inventory turning every week. So it's moving, but now some interesting dynamics are happening. This is the graph I have up here. Just started. We just started since May 18th. When they opened us up back up, and you could see the surge going along up here. We had a little bit of a slowdown in the number of pendings there for over the 4th of July weekend, and of course it came right back up. The takeaway on since the March 18th is, or May 18th or 26th, whatever it was, is that pendings have sort of flatlined on their trend, but we're only looking at a small part. If you look at what's happening, so this is what happened since the beginning of the slowdown. That trend line is still going up on the market activity. And then speaking on the inventory, I started tracking that. I don't know if I can get to this easily or not. But yeah, you can see blue is the the actives versus the orange, which is the pending activity, and you can see how it's just gobbling that up. So but here's the thing. We had a little thing where the new listing came up and then crossed over with the amount of pendings. It was like, we were sort of like, there was enough new listings that came on, and they offset the number of properties going on contract. Well, that gap widened again. So not as many new listings coming on, and of course now we have an increase in activity. So that's keeping values up. And really lends to the advice we give about, you got to be on the ball. You got to have your, be ready to make the strongest offer you can.
Yep.
And be prepared.
And be prepared to overbid.
Overbid?
You have to overbid. And what are you seeing, Jen, for the average right now?
10 over minimum. My listing, I got over 20,000 over. And then on the buy side, we went 10 over, and I think they ended up getting 15 over. And that's the first time market. That was in a 400 range. So.
Wow. Well, there's other issues that go along with overbidding, Pam, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to make sure you've got the funds to cover that gap and make sure you qualify. So you got to be in touch with your lender and your agent to make sure you're looking in the right price range and that you have the ability to overbid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
right. For our audience,
got to be thoughtful about the process.
Absolutely.
For our audience, once you overbid, if the property doesn't appraise at that price, right, the buyer has to make up the difference between, what it'll appraise for.
The appraisal gap.
It's called the appraisal gap. Yeah.
Lenders will only use what the value is of what came in at appraisal value. So if it's lower, then you have to adjust all the numbers and bring in the extra funds. So got to be prepared for that if you overbid.
Right.
And that's something that we're having to write into our purchase contracts with our highest and best offers. So that's kind of a conversation we have with our buyers is what can you stomach, and it's going to be different potentially for every property. You have to be really careful about gapping in like that.
Right. Well, and also in shopping, I mean, you probably want to be looking below your approval range with the understanding that you're probably going to have to pop over that asking price, and so a couple of smart things to think about. No, but this is all good. It kind of brings us into people are like, what's happening to values? So we definitely got the market activity supporting it, and now we're seeing the data come in. This is the average median price since 2019 or 18. Last year, median price was 420. This June, right, up to 440. And so the short takeaway on that is that values are holding. The amount of stuff that's driving. I mean, look at the pendings. Last June there was 5,500. This June 6,800 in June. We're well on our way for July with the pendings to outdo what we did last year. And then as far as the sales are going, again, they were predicting everything's going to fall off the cliff, and so we did have a little issue in April and March, April, and May. I wonder why. Was there a virus or something going on that shut down the whole economy? But then look, June just came up. You never know anything changed. In July, we're well on our way to take care of that. So.
Let's point out too that July is skewed because I think we're probably sitting in April. This is probably would be normally our April or our May buying season. So July is one of our slower months. So we're going to knock July's numbers out of the park just because it's, and actually they shut down.
They were predicting, and I don't have the whole article, but let me go to this one. Because we're predicting, and I don't have this set up to scroll, but they're still expecting to see a surge in the fall, third and fourth quarter, as they predict a move to the suburbs, right? So it takes people a while to kind of get their stuff together, get the finances, fix the doors, replace the windows, get the property ready to sell, which that's kind of a good thing we should talk about. I know that when I was out, a few properties I've shown, here they are, they're priced at top market value, and the place was just in shambles, and maybe we can talk a little bit about extremely hot or very slow market. There's some principles that still apply. Maybe our panel can. I'm going to throw it to Jen. Maybe she can start talking.
Hopefully, you got to do the work. I mean, just because the market is red hot, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm glitching pretty bad.
Yeah, no, we hear you.
Okay. Just because the market's red hot doesn't mean you have to put forth the effort. So you still have to bust your rear end to get your house ready. And then it will go, and it will go very quickly. But you just can't leave your... Yeah, I don't even know what to say. You got to do the work. That's the bottom line.
Well, and the thing, if it's priced well and it shows well, right, it's going to sell fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But shows well meanings, I mean, you can't put an outhouse up there for $1 million and think it's going to go. I mean, it will someday. Maybe none of us will be alive, But the thing is, when you've got a property that's not in primo condition, all it's really doing is helping sell the other properties that are staged and stuff like that. And the buyers, they're not stupid. They walk in, they go, oh, look, I see they spent a whole $15 on that chandelier. Oh, look, the light switches are, oh, look, they didn't bother to steam clean the carpet, Those things make a difference, and so.
One of my buyers, in fact. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, right now we have more educated buyers than I think we've ever had in the history of real estate. These people know what they're looking for. They know what they should pay for it, and they know when it's not done right.
Totally.
We can't pull things over on anyone right now.
Well, and even
It's
if
not going to happen.
even if it photographs well, which, coming from the smoke and mirrors industry before I got into real estate, you can dress things up so they'll photograph well. If a slight breeze comes up, it all blows over. And when the buyers tour the property, and it's like, oh, I see, well, that's nice laminate flooring looked like hardwoods before, and they didn't. Those type of things. It's like, they open up the cabinets and it's like, okay, I wonder if they ever cleaned these. Makes
a big difference.
Well, and
you gotta work at it.
And not, I don't want to call it refuse, but stuff. You really got to thin the thing down. Living in a place and selling a place are two different things. It's that simple. And I tell my people, just go get a storage bin. Move into storage. Let's leave behind what we got, because people are going to be looking for where their stuff goes. Is there enough room, right? And you'd be surprised. You walk into a place that's got a big stuffy sectional, right? And the buyer, it's the same square footage as another property, and the buyer's like, well, I didn't like that one. It just felt too small. Well, it felt too small because it was overcrowded and stuff.
Right.
So, but for our audience, we have professional staging companies that come in and they know what they're doing. My state, she is awesome, man. I just trust anything she says. I'll go to the end of the world with it, because she'll come and say, oh, no, this has got to go here and that's going to go there. You know what? You got to take care of your closets, because it's like if your closets aren't looking right, then, it paints the whole rest of the picture for the rest of the house and that kind of stuff. So without doing a whole staging module, very important. So priced right, and you still got to be ready. You still have to do the work, like Jen said. If you want the results, the opposite is it works against you to not do it, because if your listing is one where you didn't do any of that stuff, figure the market's hot, didn't listen to your broker and the whole thing, well, your listing is going to be the one that's like sitting there at 14 days and having to do a price drop and trying to figure out if you can get stuff in, and you're probably not going to be seeing the competitive bidding and that kind of stuff, because it's just not, in
this market, you're going to get unfairly stigmatized very quickly. All it takes is a couple of weekends on the market and everybody assumes something's wrong. Yeah. Or it could be, it's just, it doesn't show the way it needs to be, or we're a little overpriced. So
what overpriced, and the decision-making process, I always say we got 8 seconds, right? We got 8 seconds from the car to the door, right? How's everything look? Then if we get them beyond that 8 seconds, we have another 8 seconds. How does it look when you walked in? Were the lights on? Does it feel inviting? Do you go, we keep working towards finding another 8 seconds to keep the buyer's interest. It's a lot like watching TV. It's like, okay, give me something to keep me hooked, and so very, very important. And if you listen to your brokers and you follow the lead, you're going to do well, and you actually do better, in a hot market. And these rules applied, slow or hot market, and it's like still, the buyers are shelling out a fair amount of dough. It's a highly stressful thing, and while they may not expect to get a brand new home, they don't want to have a money pit either, and
right.
And it's little things, right? It's little teeny
light
thing.
bulbs,
it was a 12-foot,
things.
Yeah, it was like a 12-foot gap that sunk the Titanic. It's like the bulbs don't match, right? The doorknob's loose, right? It's like it just sets a picture in mind. So you want to have all that stuff together, and it is extremely important. And if you're selling, you need to know that. And if you're buying, what buyers typically seem to be kind of more on the ball than sellers is when it comes down to evaluating what's going on with the property, I would say,
Well, it's the unobjective opinion versus your baby. So, that's your
home.
green shag carpet. Yeah, you picked that out yourself.
Right.
So.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. So, no, and then we, Well, what the stuff that's the fuel that's driving this whole thing is, of course, financing. Although we have been seeing, Jen, didn't you have 2 cash deals? What?
I did last couple of weeks. There's a lot of cash flooding the market right now, which is very hard to compete against when you're trying to get financing. So but if you are financing, great rates, right, Pam? It's fabulous.
Fantastic rates. Yes, we keep hitting historical lows like week after week. I think it's been 7 weeks in a row now where we've continually just ticked down in the rate. So rates are great. Good time to either refinance. I mean, if you have a home and you haven't done anything in the last 2 years, you need to refinance because now is the time. But purchases are up just as much. I mean, I think MBA said that the mortgage applications were up about 2.2% last week. And like 111% over this same time last year for refinances. So lending is live and well. And a lot of the overlays have been lifted, which is good news, or is still being peeled back. There's, a few loan programs that are still a bit of a challenge. Jumbos are still struggling. Wells just made a huge announcement where they're basically saying they don't even want loans anymore for jumbos because they're asking for $1 million in balances on your balance sheet to be able to even refinance you. I mean, the products are out there. They're just more challenging to find. And non-QM is the same boat, but they're starting to come back. So all good news there. And then, FHA and VA have come back in line with rates, and lending process is a little more smooth. There's still, those last minute fire drills for verification of employment before funding, which can be a challenge. But self-employed buyers are still getting a little more scrutinized than they used to be with having to show year-to-date P&Ls that match income on bank statements and things like that within the 3 days before prior to funding. So a few challenges still out there, but lending is booming. And so if you are looking to purchase, make sure you talk to a lender and get qualified, because now is the time. And same for refinances. If you want somebody to look at you probably are likely in a boat where you can refinance unless you did it within the last 6 months. So good time for it all.
Rock on. Well, and as we mentioned, Dr. Yoon had mentioned that they're expecting to see rates staying low for quite a while, which is great for everybody wanting to refinance. Great for if you're wanting to buy, and get in at what is it? Would you say 3.125?
3.03 is what Freddie Mac's average. Is right now.
Yeah, can you give me any more free money? I mean, it just, in relative terms, I tell people, I say, back in the day, man, when I had like a 9% first and a 14 or 15% second, I had this huge mortgage payment for this like dinky little $130,000 condo, I mean, and in today's world, it's like where you're buying a $400,000, $500,000 home for the same dollar,
mortgage payment.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but that was just conceptually.
We get the gist.
You get the gist of it, yeah. Let's see. So, I noticed that on Pam, are we seeing? Did you mention this? Did I miss it about the arms? That they're doing first and second combos. Is that?
Yeah, that's the alternative to jumbos right now, is either doing a first and second combo purchase, where you have the first lien is underneath the Fannie Mae conventional guideline max loan limit, and then the second, just to make it up to whatever the cap is for the second lender, or in the first lender, if it's like 80% or 85 or 90, depending on where you're at. But so that's one good option. There are ARMs still available, and they're not terrible rates, but then again, it is an ARM. So it means, in the next, depending on if it's a 5, 7, 10, you're going to want to refinance out of that before it, starts becoming adjustable. So those are options that are out there. And there are some fixed options too, but they're harder to find and have a little more qualifications, hurdles that you have to meet to be able to get them.
Yeah.
But they're out there.
Yeah. Well, and our economy, well, of course, it depends on where you go, but our economy moving back, and then we've got unemployment levels dropping, which is good. And then we've got the extended additional unemployment benefits that are expiring at the end of the month. And I'm just going to throw this to the panel. What do y'all think is going to happen?
Oh. Nope.
Hard to judge.
Not doing that. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
But I will give you my opinion.
Yeah.
I always will. I think we're going to see a little bit of uncertainty hit the market for a little bit because you have a lot of people that are getting that $600 a week extra right now. And, they don't necessarily have to go back to work at this moment. They could, but they're actually going to make less than they would staying on the PPE assistance. So I think come the end of the month, if they don't extend that actually I think we're going to see unemployment drop because people will probably be forced to go back to work.
Well, I know restaurants and certain of the lower paying, industries, they're having a hard time finding servers because they're making so much more with that extra 600. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and
how that translates to, even if they do go back to work, are they making enough to be able to make their rent and mortgage payments?
And they're
What's
not.
going to happen there? Yeah. So
you can't guarantee the numbers. And with the second surge that's sort of happening, why would you roll off? Frankly,
Right.
you absolutely didn't have to.
So we may see more forbearance go up a little bit again as people, realize now they're not able to actually make their payments. But the good news there is that the FHFA has already answered a lot of the questions to make things uncertain, and how, due to with liquidity concerns and things like that. So I don't think it's going to throw the market back into chaos like it did at the beginning of March. But I do think the numbers might spike for a little bit until things, of course, calm back down. So.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a little bit of uncertainty, but it's going to level off fairly quickly, I believe, because we still have record equity in homes that we haven't seen, especially in the 2008 crisis. So, again, to the foreclosure question, we're not anywhere near foreclosures. People still have that equity they can get out of their home. They don't have to give it back to the bank.
Yeah. Well,
and they have the forbearance option. So
I had a slightly different take. It was like, well, are those the people that are on UI right now? They're not really in the buyer's market because they probably couldn't get their loan in the first place.
Right.
However,
Right.
as if they, as they get back to work, right, and all of a sudden unemployment levels start dropping, then we get more consumer confidence and stuff like that. I think that's going to be a good thing. Still for housing, I don't think that we're going to see a negative impact because the benefits got caught up. And in retrospect, I think, well, you know what? I think if more people are getting back to work, well, there's a good chance somebody's going to get back in and get back in the buyer pool. And I think really I see that as probably a positive towards what's happening. If the economies open up and if we can go into offices and if we can drive around.
Yeah.
And
Lots of
Still a lot of those ifs floating around,
but,
going into fall.
Yeah. So, and let's say if we did get into and we were able to get our loan and our job was secure and then we got the verification of employment done and we got the half of a forest worth of trees. Actually, it's all electronics, so half a terabyte of data sent to the lender. It looks like we got this thing where a notary can notarize your documents without even seeing you. How's that working, you guys? That's a Jen thing.
It's not really working yet. I mean, we have the ability to do it, but a lot of they're still kind of working through those regs and how that's being administered. Because just because we have the ability to do it doesn't mean lenders are accepting that, as an option.
Well,
I just got a question on Facebook that popped in from a Jim Edgel.
Oh,
Sorry
hi,
to
Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I'm like, I don't know him, but one of you do.
He's one of our guys.
Yeah, you wanted to know what I consider a minimum current interest rate to make it worth the cost of refinancing. It kind of that the answer to that is it varies from borrower to borrower. I like to see generally it depends on the reduction in monthly payment and then how long it takes for them to repay back the cost of the closing. And I try to say at least $100 savings a month. And these are my own rule of thumbs when I'm evaluating somebody. $100 savings a month, and I like to see at least at 12 months, around 12 months payback for the closing costs. Closing costs for me are generally around $2,500 to $3,000, depending on the loan. So if we can make it work within those parameters, I mean, of course, every borrower is different. Sometimes they're like, I'm planning to live here forever, so if it takes a little bit longer to pay back, it's fine, kind of a thing. But that's my rule of thumb. Generally, it takes about 0.5% drop in interest to meet those guidelines, depending on the size of the loan.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Bottom line is, take a few minutes and talk to her and run the numbers to really see if it's going to work. Yeah, good. Now, what are the do we got any more comments? Where is everybody?
I missed that. So thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. Let's see the one of the things this is sort of a seller buyer tip, and it's happened twice now, so I'm just going to bring it up. Jen knows the story here, but if you're going to be moving your washer and dryer or your refrigerator and you're a seller, here's a good idea. After you've unhooked all that stuff, maybe double check to make sure that the water is not continuing to flow out of that valve and into the flooring and the ceiling below. We were able to forestall a couple of those events, but both of the situations could have turned into a quite costly water damage situation. And of course, then you get an insurance company's battle, because if it happens on the day of closing, what's going on? So that, tip for the day: if you unhook water, make sure it doesn't leak.
Especially on the fridge and washer and dryer.
A fridge or washer and dryer. Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't take much. I mean, drip,
just
drip.
dripping. Mm-hmm.
And, you get half a gallon an hour going into a drywall thing below or underneath the floorboard. You suddenly, you can have a very costly thing. It adds up
very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so other tips for the day. Ann, Jen, what happened, everybody?
We lost y'all for a second.
I don't know what happened. Everybody kind of, that was our Skype. That was our Skype advertisement. It also goes to the Skype logo. So okay, there. I wonder if
I think that's our hint.
Do we need any commercial?
It's time.
Yeah, but any other things to buyers or sellers before we go to the highlight of our show?
No.
I would bring up the cost of waiting to refinance and the cost of waiting to buy. Home prices are still increasing. While we may not have double digits, we're still increasing, and we are projected to continue to increase. And I don't see things that are going to derail that. Mm-hmm. And like Jim's question, the cost of refinancing, the longer you wait, the more money you lose.
Yep.
So you save it now, do it now. Don't wait.
Right. Well, cool. Well, that brings us to the part that everybody watches. All the other stuff ahead of time is our funny things. But if you can get going, I mean, I'll tell you what, there is a beauty waiting for you, man, with the lovely outdoor kitchen. And so yes, if you can get a hold of your lender and get going, this outdoor grill right out your window.
I would say convenient outdoor kitchen. I think that would be more my description.
Convenient, yeah. Now, the thing is,
from the window.
No, I would call that an indoor-outdoor kitchen.
Right. Indoor-outdoor, year-round kitchen. Right, yeah. No, but the thing is, there's a few hoops because the seller, he needs 48 hours notice, and the seller must be home to show it, and he's only home from 1 to 1:30 Monday through Friday. No overlapping showings. Offers will be reviewed Sundays, no exceptions. Also, you got to wear a full hazmat suit to enter. And I might put forth that if I was looking at the place with the outdoor barbecue, I would be wearing a hazmat suit, COVID or not COVID. So there we have it.
Fun new world, you all. Oh
yeah,
really keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
So, you guys got anything else before we sing goodbye?
Everyone just hang in there. If you have any questions, give us a call. It truly is still a fabulous market. Buy or sell.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No,
and it is a great time to sell right now. I mean, the inventory is so low.
Oh yeah.
I love the nationwide numbers. Like, new home sales are down, and it's like, well, yes, because there's nothing for sale.
There's nothing for sale. Well, we haven't really seen that. We saw our numbers. They're about 8% above last year. Well, let's see, 3. I did that off the top of my head. I don't have the number, but they're above last year. So nothing to complain about there. All right. Well, for our audience, we're gonna we're not doing these weekly anymore. We'll probably come back on a monthly basis unless there's something that breaks and we'll kick back in our weekly or bi-weekly updates depending on what's happening. But right now, this boat seems to be out to sail, and we'll just keep our thumbs in the pulse. But
I'm not sure that boat was ever in the harbor. I mean, I don't think we never.
Yeah,
it just stopped.
They just turned the gas down a little bit and just kept going through, and then when it came back, it was like, all right, let's go. But the good takeaway is that housing's strong, and again, if anybody, if you or somebody you know is thinking about buying or selling a home, contact any of us, and we'd love to talk to you about it. So. With that, do you guys want to sing goodbye this time, or do we just say goodbye?
No.
Good.
I do not want to hear me sing.
Right. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Have a great month, everyone.